Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a while since we've had to do any sort of predictions and results video for the LEC and LCS, and today we've got to cover week 8 and week 9 of the season, the last week for our regular season predictions to cover for you guys. And also we'll be starting with our playoff predictions next week, which is huge. Now, this week we're going to be covering all the online play games and a new format to the LCS for the last 2 weeks, where games are now on 2 days. But let's get into Friday's results. We kicked off the week with Mad vs SK on the first online game, and for this one we went with the Mad Lions. And as the results stand, it was a Mad win. There is no VOD for this game unless you look at some non-official streams, but as you know, I think every LEC game on day one had no VOD. As for the second matchup on the Friday, we had Misfits taking on Schalke, and for this one we went with Misfits, and surprisingly, Schalke won this game, and it was fairly interesting, and this is the start of comeback from Schalke this season. Next up, we have probably the game of the day in the LEC. It was XL taking on Fnatic, and this game, if you don't know, was our Anarchy Analysis match of the week, and for this one we went with Fnatic, and the actual result was a Fnatic win pretty convincingly, as we did see a blitzcrank coming out from XL getting absolutely bombarded by Fnatic. Next up, we have Origin taking on Vitality here in a very, very interesting matchup here. Obviously for this one we do go with Origin, as they are the far superior team, and the actual result obviously was a OG win here in a very, very simple match for them to actually play. And finally, to end out Friday, we have G2 taking on Rogue, and for this one it's obvious we've gone with G2 Esports, as they are the far superior team here, and obviously the actual result was a G2 win. It looked like boys versus adults here, and they got absolutely smashed in this matchup. Welcome to Saturday, where we kick off the day with Vitality taking on Schalke, and for this game we went with the Schalke team, looking for a 2-0 week, probably their first of the season, and they actually do manage to hit that massive achievement for this team. It's done very well and is very, very good for this team lineup. Our next matchup on the day is Origin versus SK, and for this one we've gone with Origin. There's no other team to go with in this situation, and the actual result is obviously going to be an Origin win here. SK just do not look at all good this season. Our third matchup of the day is going to be Mad Lions taking on Misfits, and this matchup is very, very interesting, as it's a playoff place contention match. For this one we do go with the Mad Lions, and oh boy do they win this game. They win it in style. Fantastic work by the Mad Lions here, and yeah, a very, very good game to say the least. Our second to last LEC game this week is going to be XL taking on G2, and for this matchup we do go with the G2 army. Fairly easy prediction to say the least, as G2 obviously do win this match up and do it in style. And lastly, we have Rogue taking on Fnatic here in our last LEC game of the week. Obviously we go with the Fnatic team here, the team that are currently sat in second and remain in second, as they do beat out Rogue here in a very, very close matchup to say the least. We have jumped across the sea here to America for our next load of games here in the LCS results part of this show, starting with Immortals taking on TSM. Now obviously, if you don't know, all these games are in the wrong order due to the changing up of the format, as everything got moved into 2 days instead of the usual 3, just so that it's a bit safer for pretty much anyone involved. Now, this game did happen on the Sunday, so the actual result we go for is a TSM win. In actuality, it is Immortals picking up the win here in a very, very narrow situation in terms of the fact of how they won it. They just got a very, very good lead in that top side map that obviously did carry over to an eventual win. Next up, we have 100 Thieves taking on C9, and for this matchup it was fairly obvious that we were going with C9 here, and the good reason for it is they do actually win here against the 100 Thieves in a very, very good matchup, an interesting match to say the least, considering where 100 Thieves are currently sat in the table. Next up, we have one of those swing matches that obviously could go either way. It was Team Liquid taking on Evil Geniuses, and surprisingly for this one, we went with Evil Geniuses over Team Liquid, and it was a good decision here as they do actually win in a very, very nice matchup to say the least. And finally, our last matchup here on the Saturday, it's going to be Dignitas taking on CLG, and for this one we go with CLG here, looking to obviously pick up a cheeky win against the 4th or 5th place team in the league, and currently we would obviously expect CLG to win this, and they don't. Dignitas beat them out pretty nicely, and it was very, very good to say the least. Moving over to Sunday, we start with our Anarchy Analysis match of the week, Immortals taking on FlyQuest, and for this one we went with FlyQuest, and do FlyQuest win? Well, they bloody well ought to, and they actually do here. It's a very good matchup, and be sure to check out the Anarchy Analysis video where we break down the entire game for it. Next up, we have Golden Guardians taking on Team Liquid, and in this matchup we go with Team Liquid here, and it's the one game this week that Team Liquid actually do win as they beat the Golden Guardians in a fairly easy matchup. Obviously Golden Guardians are considered an outsider for the playoff place positions, and yeah, they do end up losing here. Next up, we have CLG taking on C9 in a matchup that everyone could predict is going to go to C9, and in actuality we do see a C9 win here. There's not much more we can say than CLG have had a terrible season and are technically mathematically out of playoffs, and yeah, I don't think they'll do too much to end out this season. And lastly, for our originally slated games on Sunday, we have Dignitas taking on Evil Geniuses for this game. We actually go with EG, giving them a random win here this season against a team that was soaring quite high. The actual result obviously is a EG win, which actually didn't shock me. It was one of them games that I felt could go to Evil Geniuses this season. So we come into the games that were originally scheduled for Monday that obviously got rejiggled into the 2 days. We're going to start with 100 Thieves taking on FlyQuest for this game. We had 100 Thieves, and the actual result was surprisingly a 100 Thieves win. Obviously I predicted this quite well, and it was one of them games I was unsure of. And the last prediction we made to end out week 8 was TSM taking on Golden Guardians for this match. We had TSM winning with ease, and the actual result, obviously, if you watched it, was a TSM win. Fairly well coordinated and was very, very efficient, and I enjoyed it to say the least when I watched it. So it's tally up time. We're going to start with the LEC, and it was overall a very, very strong week for predictions, getting a total of 9 out of 10, only dropping that one result on the Friday, giving us a grand total of 60 out of 80, which is guaranteed over halfway in terms of results, which is very, very nice, and the maximum result we can now get is 70 out of 90. LECS time. We did really well for the LCS. This is probably our best result over in that league. 8 out of 10 overall. 2 perfect scores on 2 days, just dropping 2 results on the Saturday. Give us a grand total of 46 out of 80, which, if you don't know, that is over halfway. And that is huge for us, as that does mean that we're guaranteed to at least get a 50% prediction record this season. In both leagues, to say the least. Well, let's get cracking with a lagging on the last week of the LEC and LCS. Week 9, the gargantuan week for online play, and there could be tiebreakers. That is one thing we need to be concerned about, and we'll probably do predictions on the night for them games. Obviously, I'm going to have to make a list of the games that do go to tiebreakers, and I will probably post them on my Twitter. Be sure to follow that. And yeah, let's jump into this week's predictions. Our first matchup on the Friday is going to be Rogue taking on SK. And for this matchup, I have actually gone with Rogue, the boys in blue. SK have just looked out of it in the most recent weeks. They haven't picked up a win in so long, and I think that trend's going to continue here, as they are going to end out this season in a pretty bad position. Our next matchup is Misfits taking on Vitality. This one, people expect me to go Misfits. Well, in actuality, I've gone with Vitality here. The team looks slightly stronger than ever this season, and Misfits are on that sort of slump towards the end of the season. I just feel that they're going to be beaten here, and beaten quite badly by this Vitality team looking for something to prove. Next up, it's a very interesting matchup. It's a team that beat G2 first, taking on actual G2 here. For this matchup, I've actually gone with G2 here. I don't expect miracles to happen twice, and Schalke, realistically, I don't think can beat G2 again, even if they are on this good form that they've picked up in recent weeks. Our next matchup is a doozy. It's going to be XL taking on Origin, as this could decide playoff place contention tiebreakers on the Saturday, and I've gone with Origin here. The team that I feel have the best sort of form right now this season, bar G2, I just feel could beat XL pretty easily. Our last matchup now on Friday is going to be a matchup of the week. Mad versus Fnatic. A do or die situation for Mad here in that playoff place contention for 4th place. Obviously for this one, I've actually gone with Mad. Overall, I feel that they showed so much against Fnatic last time that they're going to do it again, but this time kill the Fnatic dream of winning. We have finally reached our first Anarchy Analysis match of the week. It's going to be Rogue taking on Schalke, and I wanted to break down this game as Schalke are on such a good form right now, and I feel that they're actually going to win this matchup here against Rogue and continue the form that they're in. Obviously, it's a surprise to see at the end of the season, but maybe they make playoffs, who knows. Our next matchup is going to be SK taking on XL in a very, very good matchup to see. I have gone with XL for this matchup. As a whole, this team have got the standout players in comparison of these two teams, and overall I think they should win here. Next up is another big matchup for this week. It's Origin taking on the Mad Lions. This matchup, I have gone with OG. As a whole, this team, I think, can finish out this season, finishing in 2nd, maybe 3rd overall, and Mad finishing in 5th or 6th to finish out the league. and I feel that OG will just decimate Mad, unlike what I feel Fnatic will do against Mad. It's time for our second to last matchup of the week. It's going to be Vitality taking on Fnatic here in a do or die situation for Vitality. I don't know if they're mathematically eliminated from the playoff situation, but I don't think they're going to win anyway. I feel that Fnatic are just going to decimate Vitality. Fnatic are the second best team in the league by far. And finally, the last game of the regular LEC split is Misfits taking on G2. And this matchup I think is going to be a bit memey, but I have gone with G2. Obviously, this team need to finish out this season strong, and honestly, if they win here, they should be guaranteed first place going into playoffs. Let's travel the coast now over to America, starting Saturday off with a bang. It's 100 Thieves taking on TSM in a playoff place, third place, fourth place contention matchup here. Obviously for this matchup, I have gone with Team Solo mid over 100 Thieves here. I just feel that TSM, when it comes to do or die situations, rise up and they want to finish in the top 4 guaranteed. This game will secure them that as a whole, and they should be winning it here. Next up, we have C9 taking on Evil Geniuses, and for this matchup, I've gone with C9. As a whole, C9 have looked impressive throughout the split here, and they're just going to be dominant against this Evil Geniuses team. Sven Scarron will not get anything done against his former team, and C9 are just going to have a party on EG's grave. It's do or die time now for Team Liquid here up against FlyQuest, as if they want to secure playoffs, they need to win the next 2 games, and obviously coming up against a team that's technically in second is going to be hard for them. Obviously, I've gone with FlyQuest here because Team Liquid I just don't think have looked phenomenal this season. The 4-time LCS champions, back-to-back champions, I think are going to not make playoffs this season. Well, it's time for our last regular split Anarchy analysis match of the week for the LCS. It's CLG taking on Golden Guardians, that bottom of the barrel matchup. It's very juicy. As for such, I've gone with Golden Guardians here. I don't think CLG have much to offer. As a whole, I don't think they've succeeded at all this season. It's kind of been a big failure compared to the end of last season. Obviously doing phenomenally as a team, but it's an interesting matchup to say the least, and one that I want to break down for you guys. Our final matchup on Saturday is going to be Immortals taking on Dignitas. A very interesting matchup here as 2 teams that can make playoffs in a pretty much close quarters combat matchup for them. Playoff positions is coming up here. I've gone with Dignitas here. As a whole, I feel that they've got the stronger roster and can just succeed very well here up against this Immortals team, who've looked shaky even in their win against TSM. Moving on over to Sunday, we have Golden Guardians taking on FlyQuest. Very big matchup here. Obviously, I have gone with FlyQuest for this matchup. Very interesting match to say the least, as both teams are looking to obviously do well this season, and FlyQuest have had the standout season by far in this year, and I think they're going to win this matchup hands down. The second matchup on Sunday is going to be Dignitas taking on TSM, and as I said before, TSM have that trend of going to 0-2. Last week was their first 1-1. This week, if we want to keep a trend going, they're going to go 2-0, and TSM are going to beat Dignitas here. That is my prediction. They beat them before. That was one of Dig's first actual losses this season, and yeah, it was a pretty big win to say the least. This is a fairly interesting matchup as EG are looking to obviously get themselves a top 4 positioning for playoffs this year, and Immortals are on that cusp as well technically, but for this game I've gone with the Immortals here up against Evil Geniuses. I just feel that they're slightly stronger. They're going in with a lot of good behind them, obviously beating out DSM this week. Well, last week was huge, so I think that they're going to be able to carry the success in that game over into this one. It's time for a big matchup here. Team Liquid taking on C9 in a very good battle here. Obviously, Team Liquid need to win this game and the game before in obvious reasons to actually make playoffs, and for this one I've actually gone with them. Yeah, I predict Team Liquid to be the second team to beat C9 this season, just because of the actual quality of player on that team. It's overall equal if not better to C9, and yeah, I just feel they will win here. It's a slight gut feeling more than anything. And now it's time to cover the last scheduled game before playoffs here in the LCS, not including tiebreakers obviously. And we have gone with 100 Thieves in this matchup between CLG and 100 Thieves. It's going to be a good one to say the least. Obviously, CLG are mathematically eliminated and 100 Thieves are guaranteed playoffs. I feel though this one's going to be one of them meme games and should be quite an interesting matchup to say the least. So that's going to be it for this video. Now, as I said before and many times before, if there is tiebreakers, I don't know how they're working this year, what day they're falling on, but obviously I should know them by the end of each of the current streams, i.e. the LEC on Saturday and the LCS on Sunday. So what I'll probably do is end up posting my predictions on Twitter and then obviously adding them into the video with my tweet. Be sure to follow me on Twitter as well if you want to find out first what I predict, and the actual results will be put up in a video next week where we'll be also covering the playoffs, which obviously means a lot less teams are going to be featured in this series, and we might have to do a memorial for it. But that's going to be it for this episode of the LEC and LCS Anarchy Analysis Predictions and Results video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like down below, subscribe if you're new around here if you want to, and I will see you guys later. Peace out.